What's up YouTube? Mike Rizzo Jr. here, president and founder of Sell for Cheap and You Need a Phone. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to go over the topic of selling smartphones on Amazon and eBay and why I think it's a bad idea. First of all, I've been in this industry for quite some time, almost 10 years at this point, nine and counting, and I started selling digital cameras on Craigslist by flipping them from garage sales that I actually went to. That turned into selling the digital cameras on Amazon and eBay, which turned into selling smartphones on Amazon and eBay. And I really cut my teeth and earned my stripes, so to speak, selling on those platforms for years. And it probably took a little bit of time off of my life, I'm not gonna lie. It was very stressful. A lot of competition, high fees, you have no control of your business, troublesome customers scamming you, all kinds of different stuff. There were very few positives, unfortunately, and I'm a very positive guy, and I'm just being the pot that calls the kettle black here and saying, hey, look, there's a lot of bullshit you got to deal with, pardon my French. So if you want to sell on there, just get ready for a roller coaster ride. And the juice is not worth the squeeze, believe me. And I'm sure that you'll form your own opinions after this video, but you will probably agree with me when I say that after you watch this. I would say the number one thing is that you have no control of your business. Once you click the I have read all terms and conditions and agree to them box when you sign up for an account on Amazon and eBay, you're surrendering all control over to these vertical market websites. They can do pretty much whatever you want, and once you are used to profiting off of their websites, they pretty much got you by the balls, so to speak, right? Because you got to play by the rules, and you'll be desperate to figure out how to fix your account when things go wrong, not if, but when. And they have ultimate say, and then you have to deal with their crappy customer service that's outsourced to foreign countries. Nothing against them, don't get me wrong by saying that, but there's a lot of language barriers. It's frustrating to get a hold of the right management layer in order to actually get anywhere and have things go your way when things are not going right. So you have that problem. You have exorbitant fees. You're talking 10+%, which is a lot for guys like us, because if you're and gals, if you're in the industry and you're selling smartphones, the profit margins are inherently thin. There's a lot of competition, and it's a commodity now. So it's not like you have these gigantic margins like you do with a product from China that you can drop ship or something, for example. Drop shipping actually has low margins too, but you get what I'm trying to say. Profits just aren't there to be able to sufficiently service all of the fees that are related to subscriptions, final value fees, the percentage that they charge when something sells, which I believe is a final value fee. It's been a couple years since I've been on eBay, but for Amazon they call it something different, and you just have all of these fees that stack up. Then you have to ship the item for free, because if you don't, they're going to see your competition selling the item and then shipping it to you for free, or shipping it to your customer for free, and so you're gonna have to pay for shipping costs. So you have to offer the item free shipping. Well, it's not free for you. It's gonna cost whatever the going postal rates are on stamps.com or at the post office, and then you have fees associated with that, or costs associated with that rather, paper, ink and toner cartridges, bubble mailers, bubble wrap to put inside to brace the phones inside the packages to protect them from getting damaged in shipping, etc. So you have all these fees and costs associated with selling online that you wouldn't have if you were to sell locally, which I'll touch more on in a little while here. You also have customers that are trying to scam you all the time. They'll claim that an item is not as described, or they'll open up a return for a variety of different reasons they give them the option to on these websites. And when you get the item back, it's not the one that you sent to them. It'll have a different serial number, or IMEI number as they refer to it in our industry, in the smartphone industry. They'll sell you something completely different altogether, and as long as that return tracking number is loaded into their system showing that something got returned back to you, they get to keep whatever the original item is, and they get their money back, and there's nothing new about it. And literally 90+% of the time they are going to side with the buyer, not the seller. So you surrender all control in the transaction. As soon as somebody buys from you and you've agreed to the terms and service when you sign up for an account, that's it. It's done. Put a fork in it as far as that's concerned. So you have that issue, right? Also, you have what they call these seller performance metrics, seller dashboards, and things like that. So basically, if you fall below a certain standard for a lot of times reasons that are outside of your control, they get to hold your money, they get to suspend your account, they get to kind of like just get you really like all nerved up about, man, am I gonna get shut down this month, or are they gonna put me below standard, was what they call it on eBay, when you get below a certain threshold in their metrics or algorithms and your the search results for your items, you go back to like page 2 or 3, which means you're pretty much never going to sell anything. I've personally had tens of thousands of dollars, I'm not even exaggerating, at the worst point in my eBay career, if you want to call it that, and tied up in PayPal, where they had this thing called a rolling reserve, where basically, I'll get into it, try to basically do the cliff notes, or speak upon the cliff notes of the situation. I had a particular string of fraudulent charges or fraudulent purchases. I didn't know. I mean, they were just literally a bunch of phones were being sold and they were being shipped to different addresses and everything else. I just thought business as usual. We were just knocking them out of the park, kept selling. I'm like, this is great. Well, basically an individual, or I don't know if it was one person or what was going on, but they were buying things from other people's eBay accounts. And basically what was going on was they were stealing information, hijacking eBay accounts, using different credit cards, things like that. So I went into a rolling reserve where they held 5% of my gross sale, which is absolutely devastating, especially when you're selling for $300, $400 phones, which a lot of the phones I was selling at that point in time were. I was literally net negative after fees and them holding my money, and I ended up with like $30,000 held in PayPal, and I had to like fight tooth and nail. And this happened the busiest month of the year, on my 30th birthday, by the way, in December, conveniently. I had to fight tooth and nail to get my money back and to get PayPal back up and running properly. That took months to do, extremely stressful. I was shut down on eBay for not being able to keep up with their seller performance standards. Say for example, a postman or the post office doesn't deliver an item within the expected range, which is completely outside of your control, because you ship it within the amount of time you said that you would send the item out. But when it arrives in the customer's city, you're at the mercy of the post office. And say, for example, severe weather affects the amount of time it takes for a phone to get to the customer. Well, if it arrives late, no fault of yours, you get reprimanded for it. You get a ding on like your seller performance metrics, and it could potentially get you suspended, or you go below standard, you go in bottom of the search results. There's different account health things on Amazon, where if the same thing happens on Amazon, for example, you can go into poor account health and your account is in jeopardy of being suspended, and they can hold your money for, I think it's 90 days for your payouts. You could literally be put out of business if you rely basically on these vertical markets alone. Is what I'm saying, because what ends up happening is you end up making a little bit of money on there, and then basically you're at the mercy of these vertical markets, and they could do whatever they want, whenever they want. So that's why I always prefer selling locally rather. Buying locally too. If you're just getting started out, there's a link in my description that is directly to my free Kindle ebook on flipping phones, cash in or miss out. And it talks about how you can buy locally and then resell locally as well. Because when you buy and sell locally, you maximize your profit, there's no fees, and you have complete control over your business. You get to set your own rules, within reason, obviously. You don't want to screw people over, you want to abide by the law, and you want to offer a good product and service to customers so they continue to come back, but you have control over all of the caveats of your business and how you run it. You have none of that with Amazon, eBay. You have negative feedbacks where a customer will literally extort you to accept a return or to like give them something for free by leaving a negative feedback. And if they know how to manipulate the system right, which a lot of them do, these customers, there are good ones, but there are a lot of bad ones out there. They will literally say, hey, I'm not removing this feedback until XYZ happens, and you placate to my demand. And Then basically you're left wrestling with an outsourced representative in a different country, and there's usually a language barrier, or it's really hard to get anywhere with them to try to get negative feedback removed. Or if they open up something called a case, basically you could be on the phone literally for hours. I've literally spent the equivalent of days, maybe even a week or more easily, when you total up all the hours I've been on the phone throughout the years, which I quit selling on Amazon and eBay 2 years ago, fighting cases, fighting negative feedback removals and all that. It's insane how stressful it can be to get to the right level of management that can actually do something for you. And that's if they even want to or are in the mood to. I've literally had them go against policy and do things to bend in my favor. Extremely rarely, usually it's the opposite. But it's just so hit or miss. Depends on what representative you get. I feel like maybe if they're having a bad day, they're more apt to not help you out. It's just a really bad deal. And another thing is competition. You type in, let's say for example, you're selling right here, I have a Motorola E6. Say you're selling Motorola E6, there's probably dozens of other sellers selling Motorola E6, which means that when you type in Motorola E6, let's say for example, unlocked, which the majority of them are, in the search engine on Amazon or eBay, you have everybody and their brother selling the same model above and below you in search results, which means everybody's fighting over pennies. Everybody's fighting for another 10 cents or $1 or whatever the case may be. So the price gets driven down to the fact where there's almost no profit margin after you factor in all your hard costs, which means there's not enough money left over to really make an adequate profit to be able to pay yourself a healthy return on your investment on that phone, let alone having the excess liquidity and capital from that sale and profitability to be able to invest in your business the way you should, into marketing and research and development, or however you run your business, whatever your business's needs are in terms of what you need to spend capital on to make that business grow. So it's like, at the end of the day, even if all the headaches that I outlined, which there's a million more that I've already discussed, wasn't bad enough, you don't even have the profit left over. So it's like when I said earlier, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have hardly any profit, and you have all these headaches associated with it. You have no control over your business. So, I mean, there's a million things I can go on and on. This video could easily be an hour long, but I'm just going over some of the basics. And I mean, the worst feeling in the world, and this happens with any business, it doesn't matter what business you're in, and you don't even have to be selling online, but I mean, sometimes there's major disruptions in your business. Everything can be smooth sailing. Maybe you are making a little bit of money. You found a couple models that are phone models that are selling really well, and you're making actually really good profit on. You got those golden gooses. Well, all of a sudden, eBay and Amazon can just come down and drop the hammer on you and literally shut down your account. I've had that happen. And you're not even really doing anything wrong. And when you read over their terms of service, you're like, dude, I didn't violate any terms of service. Well, for whatever reason, you fall into below standard randomly for something that's out of your control, or like, you know, somebody leaves a negative feedback or lies and says you're not selling genuine merchandise, which is a big one on eBay, because people can say that, they're selling a fake phone or whatever. If you piss them off and you're not placating to their extortion demands and giving them a free this or a replacement that, or whatever the case may be, and then they can go ahead and will say, well, eBay, I think this person's selling fake stuff, and they can just shut you down. Which means your money's tied up, because they're associated with, although they split from PayPal, eBay is still affiliated with them. People usually use PayPal to check out on eBay. So they can hold your money. You know, Amazon holds your money, and they could shut down your accounts. So anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys have any other questions regarding this topic, feel free to shoot me an inbox or start a dialogue in the comments below. Please don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. Click the bell notification. About once per week, I'm probably going to be uploading a new video on topics related to selling phones. And I really appreciate your support, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Take care.